Hello and welcome back to Project Pro. So this will be the last lecture of our Apache Airflow tutorial. So far we have seen all about the Airflow as well as a hands-on guide which guided you with some of the basic concept as well as the advanced concept which we have seen in the previous lecture. So this lecture is all about the monitoring, logging as well as debugging your pipelines. So here we are going to go over some of the best practices that you can use for effectively monitoring and optimizing your workflows, because that will be like the more advanced concept. Because I know that you can create a DAG, you can schedule the workflows, but when you are into a real production environment and you have lot of complex DAGs as well as they will have some priorities set and the complexity will be higher, so monitoring will be a difficult task for you and you may miss some of the potential issues causing in that pipeline. And also, like, you have to debug effectively to save your time, and login can help us do that. So here we are going to set up some login configurations as well as the log handlers, so we can directly do that in a Python code. So I'll be talking that in a bit, but in this lecture we are also going to see over like the monitoring diagrams as well as the task instances, and also we will debug the air workflows as well as the task failures. So we can easily do that using the Airflow UI itself. So we are going to talk about how we can do that as well as some of the performance optimization techniques. And also, when you have a lot of complex DAGs as well as more DAGs coming into a system, then you should also set up like alerts and the notification to notify you whenever there is an issue with your pipeline. So let's jump into and see about login configurations and the log handlers and how you can set them effectively. Okay, so we are going to go over some of the basic step and whatever you want to set in your Python code so that you can effectively log the configurations as well as you can use the log handlers to effectively monitor your Apache Airflow workflows. We will delve into the world of logging configuration now. So basically these are like the essential components which ensures that your data pipelines are robust as well as it can provide you some valuable insights when the things go wrong. So now let's get first started with the configuration logging. So the first step would be like you have to open your data pipeline configuration file. So that could be like the pipeline underscore config.py. So that is like an example. So you can open that file and you have to just add some changes. So I'll be giving this in the description below so that you can try it out on your own and see how the logs are generated for your DAG. So the first thing first, to able to implement that in a Python script, you have to import the logging here, because logging library will help us establish the logging configurations in your pipeline. So the first thing first, just import the logging. That will be the simple enough step, and after that you have to configure like the logging library. So we can just set the level to debug. So here we have seen that providing the file name here, so it will generate a file name like pipeline.log, as well as the level of the logging is debug. And also we will provide like the location of that file as well as like the log format. So once it is done, so this first snippet you can paste into your code for setting up the login. So right now we have just configured the logging. So let's move on to the log handlers now. So the log handlers are nothing but like you can access it through the logging.stream handlers. So here we are going to define the log handlers we want to use. So common handler, which includes like this we have given here, which is stream handler for console output, and the file handler for the writing the logs to the file. So we are going to create an instance of the log handlers and specify their settings. So here you can see we have instantiate our stream handler as well as the file handler, which is like logging.file handler, which is logging into the pipeline.log file. Now the next step would be like we have to set the log level for each handler. That is also a very important step. So we can use like the set level method for controlling verbosity of the logs, and we can attach the handlers to the log using this. So this snippet will help you set the log level for your each handler. So here we have two handlers, stream handler as well as the file handler, and we are just adding that into the logger. And our last step would be we need to set a log message. So in our code, we are going to add the logging statement to record the different events that are happening. So for debug, you can say it as this is a debug message, or similarly for warning, this is like a warning message as I have given here. So you can just directly copy and paste those details into your code to able to configure the logging as well as the log handlers. This is pretty simple, so this will be like an assignment for you. And if you are facing any difficulties, you can let me know and we can solve that together. So what are you waiting for? Just paste this and you just need to your pipeline and see the log messages in the specified log directory as well as the console itself, because we have also instantiated our stream handler here and the file handler for logging all the details into the specified file that we have given here. So this is all you have to do for login configurations and the log handler. So this was our section first. Okay, so the next section will be monitoring diagrams as well as the task instances. So in this section, we are going to explore like how to effectively monitor your DAG runs, which are like direct acyclic graph, as you already know, and as well as their individual task instances in the Apache Airflow UI. So Apache Airflow provides a powerful web interface which we can access it to the localhost 8080 as we have seen in our previous lectures. So we are going to go over and see how we can monitor as well as manage our workflows. So let's dive in. So here the step 1 would be like to log in into your localhost 8080, which is like the port number for your Airflow UI. So you have to make sure that your Docker desktop is running fine as well as you have instantiated your Airflow in the VS Code setup that we have done. So I hope that is running fine and all the services are in healthy condition. So once you log in using your admin username and password, all you can see is like all the DAGs that you have created, and many of them are provided by Apache Airflow itself for your practice and better understanding. But previous lectures we have already created some. So here you can access and select any DAG over here and see all the details that are there, like all the executions, their statuses, their logs, and you can easily monitor and debug it from here itself. So we will take a deep dive on how to monitor your workflows effectively using this Airflow UI. So the first thing would be like you have to click the DAG you want to monitor from the list. So here we are going to use like our user underscore processing that we have created earlier. So just click on that, and like here you are going to see like all the overview of the DAG runs, as well as you will notice some various colors which will indicate like the run statuses that could be like success or failed or running. So here the color coding and their meaning are given over here. So you can see that we have the successes, queued, removed, the restarting, running, all sorts of statuses over here. So you can effectively monitor those using the statuses, and also you can click on some specific runs, and also you can just click on a specific run to view more details, as well as it will include like the start time, the end time, and the status of each task within that run. So this is pretty powerful. And also like the Gantt chart view will provide you the visual representation of the DAGs runs and the task duration. So if you go into the DAG runs, you will be able to see the high level picture of what is happening over here. But this is like a high level information of your DAG. So let's focus on monitoring some task instance. So if in the DAG detail page, you can see a list of all the task instances for that DAG runs. So you can go to browse and also go into the DAG runs over here, and also as you can see we have all the DAG IDs as well as their instances. So all you can do is you can click on any of these. So we will select this users processing that we have just ran and see that all the tasks are in green statuses, which is like the completed status. So here as you can see, once we hover on it, you can get the task IDs, the run, like the start time and the end time, all it is given here. So you can effectively monitor how much time it is taking. If it is taking the longer time than expected, then you can definitely optimize that. That also we are going to see in a bit. So this is like you can see all the details of your DAG. So if you want to see, so here is like a very easy representation. So let's get into like one of the failed ones and see how you can debug that logs. So here all you can do is you can filter on the stage, and we have like some of the failed diagrams. So you can just click on any of those, and as you can see, this is like the failed one. So this tree view, which is also known as like the graph view or tree view, it will provide like a hierarchical representation of your workflows, which shows how tasks are connected to each other as well as their statuses. So you can do that for individual diagrams as well. So for this diagram, it is not all succeeded, it got failed in our second step, which is API available or not. So this view will be like very easier for and very useful for identifying like any dependencies as well as the understanding of the flow of your DAG. So if you are new to any of the DAG, you can just quickly go into the graph view and you can see what are the dependency of each task on each other. So that is like very useful view, and also you can see in which step it got failed. So next step would be to see the logs. You can click on any task over here and see the instance details, the rendered, the log, which we are going to see now. So if we go into the log, it will show us all the logs over here. So as you can see, these are all the logs which are provided by the task instance. And as you can see, it is like failed because like here the con ID, which is like user API, was not defined. So the connection was not defined during this time. So that is the reason this DAG or else we can say that a particular task has been failed. So connections are nothing but we have already seen that it makes us integrate external systems with our Apache Airflow. So to make it happen, you have to define the connections, and that part was missing. That's why it failed that job with a specific error like user API is not available, which was like our con ID, which is connection ID for that task. So our next section is debugging workflows as well as the task failures. So here are the steps that will help you debug your failed runs as well as if you have any issues in your pipeline, so you can easily debug those using these strategies as well as how you can handle the task failures. So data pipelines can be really complex and issues can arise. So we will explore like how we can effectively debug that as well as troubleshoot your workflows. So first you have to understand the importance of the debugging. That is the primary task you have to do. So you have to start recognizing like why debugging is very crucial in the data pipelines. So the first thing is it will help you identify the different issues, the bottlenecks as well as unexpected behaviors of your workflows. So you do the efficient debugging, which will save your precious time, all the resources, as well as it will prevent the data processing errors. That is very important to understand. The next is you have to leverage some of the debugging tools which can integrate with the Apache Airflow. So you have to introduce like different debugging tools like the analyzer, code profilers, as well as the integrated development environments, which is also known as IDEs. So you can set it up and it will be like very useful for inspecting your code as well as identify different issues. So you can have some IDEs that will help you do that. And if you talk about detecting the task failures, you have to explore like different methods for detecting the task failures, such as like different monitor tools or error handling mechanism. You have to review the logs very carefully as well as the error messages for pinpointing the causes of your task failures. But as you know, sometimes the failures can be temporary. It will be due to the API is not available at that time, due to some connection issues and so many more. So you have to just retry some failed task and you can try that out to see if it succeeds or not, or it is still having the issues, because some of the issues can resolve with the retries. And also handling the exceptions is also a very important task to do. So you can just do some handling exceptions in your code to prevent like the workflow disruptions. and also you can debug your workflows. So as I walk you through one of the failed instances, we have seen that that particular workflow has failed because we haven't made the connection to receive the user data from a certain API. So connection is pretty important task, because in that task connection was the only thing that could fetch the data from a API to Apache Airflow task. So to do that, that was the issue. So similarly, you have to get familiarized to how you can read the logs effectively and debug that to know what is the issue. So once you got a good understanding and the grip on that, it will be pretty easier and a piece of cake for you to debug any pipelines and the failures. Okay, so the next section, which is pretty important, which is performance optimization techniques. So in this section, we are going to go and explore some of the essential techniques that you need to implement for optimizing the performance of your data pipelines. So the efficient data pipelines is very critical for maintaining the productivity as well as meeting the deadlines. So we will dive into some of the performance optimization techniques. So the first one will be, we will need to start by highlighting the significance of the performance optimization in our pipelines. So faster pipeline means it will give us quicker insight to your data, and also it will make our process more efficient and the data processing also a very faster. So optimization is like an ongoing process, so you cannot do that only once. So you have to make sure that you are using the right practices again and again once you add other functionality in your DAG, and also it will involve making your workflow more efficient as well as the resource friendly. So also you should follow some of the techniques that profiling your workflow. So this is pretty important technique for optimization, which will involve you have to measure the performance of your data pipeline components. So there are some profiling libraries or as well as some built-in tools in your workflow management system. So let's, for example, there is Apache Airflow's profiling capabilities. So that will improve the profiling as well as the optimization, the performance of your workflow. Also, let's talk about the parallelization now, which is also a pretty useful technique for more complex and the bigger workflows. So in this technique, our tasks are executed concurrently for improving our workflow efficiency. So it is similar to Hadoop. In Hadoop, we will be having a big task which can be splitted up into multiple tasks, and we will be having a whole lot of local machines working together, and they are known as worker nodes. So all those tasks are submitted concurrently on those worker nodes so that they will work parallelly to complete all the tasks and give us the aggregated or the final output. So that technique we can also utilize in the Apache Airflow to speed up your queries. So parallelism means your task will be scheduled on different worker nodes which is distributed across, and you will get the results in very minimal time. So you can do multi-threading, multi-processing, or else you can distribute the computing using different tools like Apache Spark. So Apache Spark also uses the same approach that I have discussed as in case of Hadoop, and also these are parallelization. Also you can use efficient resource allocation. That is also a very important step to do, and you have to understand the importance of this resource allocation, which is CPU and the memory, so that you can effectively do that for each task in your workflow. And there is the data partitioning. So data partitioning is also a great technique for performance optimization. So you have to define the data partitioning and its role in the distributed data processing. So when you are doing parallelism, you have to also take care of the data partitioning strategy. So there are different partitioning strategies like the shuffling, the data splitting, as well as the partition pruning. So similarly in Spark we have the data frame, which you can say it as a table in RDBMS. So that data frame can be cached or partitions according to our needs to effectively optimize that code. So similar data partitioning you can do in the Airflow itself. And also the continuous monitoring your performance will be a great way to optimize the performance of your whole workflow and all the tasks which are running parallelly across the cluster. So this is all about like performance optimization techniques. Okay, so the last section is all about alerting as well as the notification. So we are going to dwell into like the world of alerting and notification, which will ensure like we are informed about critical events that happens in your pipelines. So the staying informed is essential for like managing the data pipelines pretty effectively, and we will explore like how to set up alerts as well as the notifications in your DAC. But first you have to understand like the need for alerting. So like alerting is very crucial in data pipelines management because it will help us like respond promptly to any issues, as well as it will reduce the downtime and the data loss in our pipelines. Doing proactive alerting is like a key element of like maintaining data pipeline reliability, and there are like several tools as well as techniques for setting up the alerts and notification. So there are like popular tools like Prometheus, like Grafana, or the custom solutions that can easily help you alert and notify your issues in the data pipelines. So there are different factors that you need to consider when choosing an alerting system, which is like scalability, then you got integration with the Airflow as well as the ease of use. So the better solution will definitely improve your alert and notification strategy to overall improve the efficiency of the process. And also it should align with your pipeline's requirements as well as the architecture as well. So alerts are only valuable if they reach the right person that can do some actionable on that alert. So we will discuss like notification channels now. So we can introduce like notification channels such as like email, SMS, or integration with the collaboration tools like Slack or the Microsoft Teams. And we can like configure the notification channels in your alerting system as well as associate them with some specific alert tools. And also you should like follow some naming convention so that you can use like different alert names or use the label or tags for some more context, and establish a clear escalation policies. So that is also important to set up alerts as well as notifications. And also like it is very important to monitor all this performance of your alerting system itself for ensuring the reliability of these strategies. And there you have it. We have seen all about how you can monitor, log, as well as implement the alerting and notification system in the Apache Airflow. So I hope you understood this, and if you face any difficulties or issues understanding or implementing this, you can let me know in the comments and we can discuss on it further. And also don't forget to check out the latest projects provided by the Project Pro. So that a link I'll also give in the description below so that you will not go into any hassle. Thanks for watching this series.